Anybody here? Oh, please come forward.
Good evening to everybody. I am Vicky Calvo of the Concerned Mothers League in the Philippines. First is, I want to ask, is it really necessary that a declaration should be made tonight? On the basis that this is a World Social Forum. When we say forum, it's an exchange of ideas, opinions, situations, on different plane and context. So we are here to share each nation's problems, etc., etc. If it's a declaration, it entails organizational responsibility. Specific for my organization, I'm here as a representative, but I am in no position to give my vote for the declaration because it should be approved by our board of directors. It's just, I'm a little bit confused because our participation here is to share the situation in the Philippines, the situation of urban for women in the Philippines. So that is one of my question.
Well, first of all, thank you. I mean, I think that your comments are very well taken. And if you again pay attention, we're not calling this document a work plan by any stretch of the imagination. Because the only way, we could actually propose a work plan is if we were to do a much more thorough consultation involving decision-making bodies of our respective movements, organizations, etc. So that's why this is not, by any means, a work plan. It's simply a political statement that, as a matter of fact, looking back at the previous World Social Forums, these type of declarations have become extremely useful for processes that have actually shaped policies, in several countries where advocates have decided to make indeed their own statement like this and actually use it for the purpose of advancing policy change in countries. Last night, for example, we were being briefed about how statements coming out of these forums in previous years have actually helped shape policy changes in some of the European countries, some of the South American countries. So that is why we do feel that it is important to have this type of document. But again, we totally understand that this is a non-binding document for any organization attending here, because the lady is right. This is a forum. It is not necessarily an organization that actually adopts commitments for work plan purposes. But your point is very well taken, and I appreciate it. Please, go ahead.
Je suis Brice Monon, je viens de France, du Forum. Moi, j'avais pensé que ce document, on aurait une copie de ce document. Parce qu'après une première lecture, je ne sais pas comment on va réagir sur des points. Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas une copie de document pour nous?
I'm going to ask if you can pause so that we can translate, because unfortunately I don't have my earphones.
Okay, she's just asking for a copy of the document because it's hard to make comments on something they don't have in their hands.
Absolutely, not a problem. Keep in mind that we just finished writing it. So it's not like we could actually produce mass copies tonight. But I guarantee one thing. Given how fast and efficiently the Filipino working group has been working, I assure you that by tomorrow morning, the document will be up on the website of the World Social Forum for downloading purposes. But if you cannot download it by tomorrow morning, let us know, and we'll do the best we can to make copies available, even if it is on a limited basis. But by tomorrow, it will be up in the website. So, please, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I would like to first congratulate those people who made the declaration. It's such a huge work to be able to capture most of the highlights of the discussions. That's why I don't see this as a kind of an action plan where we have to commit ourselves. I see this as a reflection on what the conversations were about, and I am fully amazed how you were able to do that together. Although, of course, I miss still some of the small points, but I could understand that. What I miss only is that, you know, the positive contribution of migrants and also the other stakeholders involved in it. I think there's hardly any emphasis on what we have already achieved. You know, and I think at this point in time, we already have achieved a lot of things. There are already a lot of successes on big levels and also in small levels, even on the self-organization of migrants themselves. And I think we have to give that a bit of some recognition when we talk about our situation, and not only how difficult it is, the big challenges, the obstacles, but also what we have already reached as of this time.
Let me quickly just check with you all. The essence of what the lady just suggested is that we should find a way to highlight the contributions that migrants make. Can you raise your hand if you approve that statement? Almost everybody. Thank you very much. We will definitely work to make sure that we amend the document so that it reflects that particular concern. Who's next in line? Please do.
Hi, thank you very much for a brilliant forum. It was very well organised. And this document looks excellent, but point 2 had a very minor question, was that it said that these concerns derive from multinational companies, full stop, but it seemed like a lot of the discussion suggested that problems derive from states, from international agreements, from so many different places. So I just wondered if that should be added.
I would consider that a very minor change to the text of the document, so I believe that it should be easy to accommodate that concern. I'm going to switch for a moment here to the lady here, please, and then we'll go with you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the time. I'm not really good in English, but I read the document. I just give the comment why in the document is no criticize about the labor export and migration to develop concept. Yeah, so this is my comment. I just saw about the issue, but no criticize on the document. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Just a first point, I would agree also with the first speaker that I have a concern as a participant of the Wsfm to commit to a political declaration of the Wsfm. Why? Because I'm a participant of the Wsfm. And a political declaration of the Wsfm would also be reflective, supposedly, of a political statement for myself as a participant. So I am really concerned with the process of this. It's not a work plan. I don't also think it is a work plan, but as you said a while ago, it is a political statement, and there are a lot of political statements there that I have concerns with. I mean, it was discussed in the workshops, etc., but it was discussed. That's precisely the point. It was discussed, but it did not necessarily mean there were unities about those points in the workshops. And the only unities that were done in the workshops were the 3 recommendations that came out of my workshop, of the workshop I attended. I did not attend the other workshops. So I really have a concern with that. And secondly, I also agree with that in particular, the points that I was already concerned with when I saw it was, there was no mention about the labor export program, which is a very concrete issue of the migrant workers. And there's also, I have concerns with how the matter about migration for development was put there. So there are a couple of that, and even if you say that it will be put up in the website tomorrow, it's already tomorrow. I mean, there's no way for us to offer feedbacks, etc., etc. So that's just all.
Thank you. I appreciate the comment. Let me just say that we knew when we were writing this document, I'll be with you just a second, but let me explain. I mean, because we knew when we were writing this document that there was going to be no way that this document would make every single person who attended the World Social Forum happy. That we take for granted. You know, that the document as written by no means can possibly satisfy every single one of you. And I cannot emphasize any more than I already have that the nature of this document is non-binding to to any one particular organization who has attended the forum. It's only intended to serve as a marker of where the collective feeling is. And the collective feeling, doesn't mean every single one person. It just means the collective sense of the group. And from the gathering, from the responses I've heard so far, it sounds to me that we are, by and large, on the same page, about this question of what is the nature of this document. So I just want to, again, say, by no means we pretend that this document makes every single one of you entirely happy, because we knew that was impossible. With that said, please go ahead, man.
Thank you. I am speaking in Arabic, not in English. My نشكركم جميعا على هذا المؤتمر والقرارات اللي صدرت عنه، ونشكر المنظمين انه اعطونا وقت كوقت فلسطيني انه نحكي باكثر الورش حتى نعبر عن قضيتنا، لانه نحن الشعب الوحيد اللي تحت الاحتلال الاسرائيلي ما زال. بنتامل انه بالمؤتمرات القادمه انه يكون كمان نفس الدور اللي اعطيتونا اياه لنا بهذا المؤتمر الفورم. نحن بنشكر ويليام بشكل خاص واللجنه التحضيريه بشكل عام، وبنشكر الفلبين اللي استقبلت الوفود، وبنشكر المدرسه الجامعه مريم كوليدج على استقبالها وعلى دورها، وشكرا.
Messages of thanks to all of the organizers of the forum and for everyone, all of the participants, for the strong decisions that we've made throughout the forum. Also thanks to, in addition to the organizers, Miriam College and everyone who helped make this possible. Samira also wants to thank especially for allowing the Palestinian delegation the opportunity to come and have a presence at the forum and speak our voices and let that be a part of the discussion. And she hopes that in future forums we continue to allow a space to discuss the Palestinian struggle, as Palestinians are one of the few remaining peoples in the world under occupation, under Zionist colonization and occupation. So thank you for giving us this opportunity, and hopefully we'll continue that.
أضيف نقطة واحدة، إنه تكون بالفورم القادم اللي هو مثل ما عرفت بجنوب أفريقيا، إنه يكون في ترجمة بكل اللغات حتى يقدر كل إنسان يحضر ويقدر يعبر عن وجهة نظره.
And she hopes that in the next social forum in South Africa, we will have the means to have translation available for everyone, so that anyone and everyone can speak in their native language and be heard.
Thank you. We're going to keep switching, okay? So whoever is next here.
Yes. Merci tout d'abord pour tout le travail qui a été... oui, yes, I speak in French. Merci donc pour le travail qui a été effectué. Mon intervention, ce serait plutôt pour vous proposer de rajouter une phrase concernant le lien et la convergence possible entre ce forum-ci et celui à venir de Tunis. L'idée est de proposer de transmettre en fait ce texte à Tunis et aux organisations qui vont travailler sur les migrations pour qu'ils ne partent pas de zéro, effectivement, qu'ils puissent l'enrichir en prenant en compte y compris les initiatives concrètes. Et de Tunis, ils pourront l'envoyer ensuite en Afrique du Sud ou à Mexico, je ne sais pas, enfin au prochain forum social mondial des migrations. Voilà, merci.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the job that you've done, and I'd like to ask you if it was possible to add just one sentence, just one point to this declaration that concerns the link between these declarations to the next World Social Forum that is taking place in Tunisia, and so that the work over there doesn't start from scratch, but that we can build upon this declaration to just add and some more points and some more development to start from there to continue our work, and maybe share this and then use it as a starting point for the following World Social Forum. And Then, so we will use maybe the declaration in Tunisia to work in the next 2 years to go on this, and then go back to us again, and then we're working on this document. Thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion. I will consult with the rest of the International Committee on that specific suggestion. We are fully aware about the Tunisia World Social Forum coming up, and the fact that migration has been actually elevated as one of the central themes of that event. We are very committed to making sure that we work in a way in which there is as much mutual support, collaboration, not only between this World Social Forum on Migration and the next one, but also the World Social Forum in general. So we look into that and let you know, but just rest assured that we are aware of these connections and we are committed to building them. I'm going to switch to this side now. Please.
Thank you for the wonderful work that has been accomplished and also for the participation that has taken place. The workshop was very participative and deep. Thank you. I thought this information also could include, as this can also serve as a policy document, the need for including the role of governments in creating informed migration and also stopping illegal migration or whatever is called paperless migration, because governments and agents have a big role to play that can also include it, so that there can be an empowerment of migrants with information, especially on sending countries.
Thank you for the recommendation. Let me just remind you, because as you make recommendations, keep in mind that, as I said before, the basis to actually write this paper were the recommendations that came out of the workshops. So we are more than happy to indeed take a second look at the suggestions that came out from the actual workshops, and to the extent that any item that you are emphasizing now was actually something that came up in the context of the workshops, we will do the best to amend the recommendation so that it reflects that particular issue. So that's the extent of the commitment that I believe I can make on behalf of the other members of this committee, because we want to be faithful to the conversations that actually took place in the context of the workshops. I'm going to switch back to this side, but back because there are two mics, and I think people are also lining up. So, sir, please. Yes.
Thank you for the drafting of the statement of the Declaration of Unity. My concern is you have mentioned that it is a political statement, but as far as I know, a political statement demands a concrete analysis of the situations where the migration is. But when I heard the Declaration of Unity, it's not mentioned on the document the root causes of migration and how it intensifies the migration of the poor people to the developed countries. And then another thing, if this is a political statement, it also demands a viable alternatives touching on to the root causes of migration, addressing the root causes of poverty, unemployment, and joblessness in the home country, and also on the state accountability of both the host and sending government. So, but the problem is, I never heard this analysis on because it is a political statement. A political statement, and again, it demands an analysis on the situation. And given that because all this, it is what we talk about and during our workshop, which I have participated in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right here, on this side.
Yeah, I would like to raise two things. First is regarding the content. I think there is not much criticism also of the GSMD. It was a rather factual, matter-of-fact pronouncement about the GFMD and IOM having this analysis of remittance which can be used for development. I think a lot of people here are critical, and some are very, very critical of the GFMD, and that has to be reflected in this political statement. We need to be more categorical about where we really stand with the GFMD and not just gloss it over. Second, I would like to raise the process, the process that this is undergoing. Usually in congresses like this, especially something that is as critical as a political statement, we would like to have transparency. We would like to have that statement which you just showed just once, and we cannot even reread after you have read it. We would like to see it there, and we would like to see the suggestions being inputted on the spot. And that's usually how we do it, because this is very crucial for people to see that what they're suggesting is really being taken up, and in a way that they want it to be taken up. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I explained at the beginning, and I say it again. I mean, the difficulty with trying to produce a document that is actually a reflection of what came out over 48 different sessions is that it becomes impossible to have every single concern that came up, listed in the document. And I agree with you. I mean, we just presented the document. We don't have it in print form available to everybody. But at the same time, I think that if we were trying this evening to fine-tune, to wordsmith, every single phrase in the document, we would spend the entire night here, and only the bravest and most dedicated would stay at the end to make sure that that happens, which usually is not necessarily the most democratic way of going about anything. So I insist. I mean, this is a document that we have made every effort possible. And I tell you, there were some workshops that only ended by 6 p.m. tonight. So there is a good chance, that there are elements that came up in the very last round of workshops that didn't quite make it into the document simply because of time constraints. But we were trying to capture the spirit, of these statements, the conclusions that you all help us reach in each of the workshops. So there is two more people here on this side, and it's 8:10 right now. I am absolutely committed to making sure that if we have pretty much gotten the sense of the group, that we don't delay this more than it has to. So I'm going to honor the two people that are actually in line. And I will begin with the gentleman at the front, because you were here first, and then we will go with the gentleman at the end, at the back.
Merci. Je remercie pour ma part le groupe de travail qui a fait ces recommandations. Ça a besoin de relecture, peut-être, oui. Pour ma part, je voudrais dire que, quand même, la question est, par rapport à tous les autres forums, comment rendre effectives ces recommandations-là. Parce que pour notre part, au Mali, d'où je viens, après chaque participation à un forum, nous amenons les recommandations à notre gouvernement, nous les présentons, nous travaillons là-dessus et nous gardons jalousement le fait qu'ils puissent suivre ces recommandations-là.
First of all, I'd like to thank the working group for this declaration, and of course we need to reread it. But I'd like to say on how are we going to ensure the follow-up with this recommendation? How are we going to implement them? Because I belong to Group Mali, from Mali, and every time we come back from our social forum, we present these recommendations to the government, to our government, and we present it, and then we study it, and then we make sure we monitor the work of the government, and we make sure that there is a follow-up. So this is my comment.
Thank you very much. Sir, back there.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to air my comments on the declaration. My concern is that based on the workshops which I attended, the articulation against GFMD is very much clear and explicit. Now, I'm finding it difficult to accept that the issue of wordsmithing will be an excuse for the rejection of the GFMD not to be included in the declaration. Because from what I heard among the workshops, it's very clear. The rejection of GFMD and the neoliberal paradigm is very much clear. My second point is on the 5-year plan of action.